I'm very pleased to introduce our next moderator, and he will, of course, introduce his panel, and it is Dan Tynan. Dan is the Modern Family columnist at the new Yahoo Tech, which, as you know, or may know, is directed by former New York Times columnist David Pogue. It's a really big Yahoo property. They are going full-blown into the editorial world, and Dan is a great person to be contributing a column all about the issues that we're talking about today and others. But he's also a very impressive journalist with a lot of experience. According to his official bio, he's been covering technology since Mark Zuckerberg was in diapers. Now, we don't know when Mark Zuckerberg was and was out of diapers, but I take that means a fairly long time. He was a former contributing editor of Family Circle magazine, and his work has appeared in more than 75 publications. You may have read him, including Parade, Popular Science, Consumer Digest, Men's Health, and Playboy.com. Now, he claims he's not a geek, but I've known Dan for a long time. And Dan, I'm sorry, you are a fellow geek, and I'm proud to know you. So Dan and panelists, please join us.
So can everyone hear me okay?
Yeah. Great.
So as Larry said, I write the Modern Family column for Yahoo, Yahoo Tech, new site, and I like to describe it as how I use technology to annoy my children and how they use technology to avoid their parents. So, but you're not here to see me, you're here to see them. So I'm going to ask everyone to go around the table, introduce themselves, say who they are, what school they go to, and tell us a little bit about them. Arielle, you want to start?
My name is Arielle Ampeh. I am a junior at Thomas Jefferson High School for Science and Technology. And I am a 4-H'er, and I love dogs.
My name is Will Ashe. I'm a senior at Thomas Jefferson High School for Science and Technology. And I'm really involved with student government.
Cool. I'm Zoe Parks. I go to GC Lab School. I'm a junior, and I really like design and engineering.
Hello everyone, my name is David Rojas Rosario. I go to Woodrow Wilson Senior High School. I'm a senior, and I'm a fellow geek as well.
My name is Hannah Thompson. I'm a junior at Woodrow Wilson High School, and I also like dogs.
My name is Dursey Wade. I am from University High School Academy in Southfield, Michigan, and I love baseball.
Terrific, thank you. I also wanted, I know there are students in the audience, I also want you guys to participate in this conversation as well. I'm going to ask a series of questions for show of hands, take some votes. But if you have any comments or questions, if you want to raise your hand, I think there's people around with mics. They will collect them, and we'll just have a conversation. Also, as a note, I'm going to use the word online to refer to internet, phones, gaming consoles, etc., because I am an old fart, and that's what I'm used to. But so when I say online, I mean everything. So first question I'm going to ask is about screen time. And ask for show of hands, audience and panel, how many of you spend at least 3 hours a day staring at a screen? Every single one of you. Okay, keep your hands up. 4 hours. 5. More than 5. Okay, anyone spend less than 3? All right, we are all addicted to screens, obviously. Okay, so the question for the panel is, are we spending too much time in front of screens? And I think, Zoe, you wanted to answer this one?
Yeah, sure. So again, I'm Zoe. I don't think that we spend too much time in front of screens. I know when I go to school, we use computers all day long, which, I mean, we do have breaks like lunchtime, and like you can do your work. We like to call it low tech if you want. But everything we create, everything we generate, we put on our portfolios, which are like online websites with our names. And then every project we do, we put it on there, which I think is amazing and is a good way to like display yourself in like a moving time. So I don't think we do.
Okay. Just to add on what she was saying, it depends on what screen you're talking about. Because if you're talking about a TV, sure, we're spending a bit too much time on that. But if it's a computer, that's a way that you can learn by yourself. Like you don't need a teacher or a facilitator. You can just search what's like your interest or whatever that would help you better yourself or develop a new talent and so on and so forth.
In my opinion, it depends on what you're trying to accomplish on the web. If you're using the internet for business, like a friend of mine, he started his own company called DirectU. If you're using it for business purposes, I think it's very encouraging, and he can inspire other people. But if you're using it to, sit down and text people or, use social media for 7 hours a day and get no schoolwork accomplished, I think it's a complete waste of time.
Oh, great. Which brings me to my next question, which is, which of these many screens is your favorite? I'm going to ask the panel, I'm going to ask everyone to go around and say, if someone, say your parents, removed one of these screens from your life, which one would you miss most? And we'll start with Dursey.
It would have to be the TV. It would have to be the TV. I have to be honest. Without TV, I don't know what I would do.
Terrific. Appreciate that. Hannah?
I'd probably miss my phone the most because I have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I can text my friends, I even look schoolwork up on my phone. That would probably really.
What kind of phone do you use?
I have a Motorola X-T5.
So you have an Android phone?
Yes, Android
Okay.
phone.
Right.
For me, it would be my laptop, because I can do everything in my laptop. I can do my homework. I can research stuff of my interests. I can look up my grades. I can watch movies, TV, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I have to second that. Laptop's definitely the way to go for me. You got everything on there, so I'm cool with that.
Cool.
I have to say my phone. I mean, I'm not a huge TV guy because I'm usually on the go and going places. But if I'm in the car or on a bus, I can just whip out my phone, either catch up on Facebook or Twitter, or I've written papers on my phone at the last minute, probably too late. But but yeah, if I didn't have my phone, I'd just be bored on the go and just sitting there and not know what to do with myself.
Arielle?
I think probably my phone as well, but I like watching TV on my phone, so yeah, I'm going to go with my phone.
And you guys, what phones do you have?
I have a Galaxy S4 Android.
Android?
I have an iPhone.
I knew there'd be an iPhone on there somewhere. Okay. All right, so spend a lot of time on screens, a lot of different devices. Okay, another show of hands here. To the best of your knowledge, do your parents monitor where you go and what you do online?
No.
Nobody on the panel? No one in the audience? No one is monitored? Oh, my kids are going to be so mad. Statistics I've seen, there have been a lot of surveys, about half. Parents say they monitor their children's internet, although how they define monitoring varies widely. A lot of them simply check browser histories. Some of them actually have software that limits access, but I'm curious for this. So the next question is, and I think I know the answer to this one, my panel, should your parents be monitoring where you go? Anyone?
I don't, as long as, I'm not doing anything wrong on the internet, I don't think they need to check up on me checking Facebook, 400 times a day. But, I guess if they, it's all a trust thing. If you trust them, then, there's nothing to, monitor, really.
Okay.
I think it's kind of, it goes both ways because it is partially what you do online, but it's also what you're seeing online. I think there's a couple times I would have liked my parents to have been able to monitor what I was seeing online. But yeah, I think what you do online is a personal choice, and you have to be responsible.
I actually agree with what Hannah was saying. It's a trust kind of thing, because you taught your kid on what to look up and what not to look up, or what to kind of be aware of and stuff like that online. And so if you trust them, you don't really have to check up on them and just make sure and stuff. And also there are ways that you can go and kind of protect yourself. You can use in private web browser instead of the regular old one, and it doesn't record your history. So it's kind of harder nowadays. So I don't know how they work.
And I assume that if your parents aren't monitoring your internet access, they also aren't checking your phones.
I just want to add I'm friends with my dad on Facebook, and he said I'm going to be friends with him until I'm 18. And at that point, I can do what I want. But until then, he monitors. He just checks up mostly on what I'm posting and what I'm putting out. But he doesn't. But my parents don't monitor as much as what I see. So they're more focused on the footprint that I'm actually leaving.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So.
And you have a question, right?
No, I have a comment to make.
Oh, comment.
I
Okay.
agree with these guys. I agree with these guys that you should trust your kids, because if you don't trust them, then it would just cause them to do something they wouldn't usually do. And then if you don't trust them, if you just going to cause them to sneak and do it, because they're gonna do it anyway.
Right.
You got to trust them to do it. If you trust them, then hopefully they'll make the right choices.
That's perfect. Thank you for that. So according to a survey commissioned by the Family Online Safety Institute, who I know is here, thank you, Stephen, 9 out of 10 parents believe they are well informed about what their teenagers are doing online. In that same survey, only 6 out of 10 teenagers say their parents are well informed. So somebody is clueless. So panel, who is it?
The survey.
So do you think your parents are informed about everything you do online?
Yeah, I'll tackle that a little bit. For me, yes, but I have a very open relationship with my dad, so we both know what's going on with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of what goes on with the internet and just in general, like teen behavior, is like the relationship you have with your parents. So if your parents are like, okay, I want to see everything that you're doing when you leave the house, they're probably going to want to see everything you're doing on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
So like for me, my dad already knows what I'm doing, and like I know that he trusts me as a person to make my own choices out of the internet, in school, out of school. So he doesn't feel like it's needed to monitor me. So I think that's usually where it starts, is like, what is the family relationship like, and how do they choose to parent their kids?
For me, well, my mom is going to hate me in a minute. She's slightly older, so she doesn't know how to use the computer at all. So it depends on like what kind of parent you have, like the generational wise. So, like my mom, she can't use the internet at all. So it's kind of like she has no way to actually like check up what I'm doing online. Is mostly what I show her in a sense. So some kids might have a mom or a dad that they don't really know how to use the internet, so they have no way to actually like look up what the student or the guy or the kid is doing. So.
That's great. Anyone, audience, any? Okay. I want to talk a little about social media. Again, a show of hands, everyone who has a Facebook account. Okay, so now everyone who used to have a Facebook account until their parents signed up. There have been a number of stories over the last couple of years that Facebook is losing teenagers, in part because it is geared towards families and adults and parents and friends of parents. But it's certainly not the only game in town in terms of social media. There's a lot of options. So I'm also going to ask folks what else they use. So again, this is going to be a vote, show of hands. How many have Twitter accounts? Okay, pretty much everyone. Tumblr. A few. Marissa will be disappointed. Instagram. Pinterest. I have a Pinterest account, I have to admit.
Pretty cool.
How about Vine? guys like the online video. Snapchat. Popular. How about Kik and other alternative texting photo sharing services? So a lot of them. Okay? So I'm going to ask the panel, again, I'm going to ask you guys to go around and say, what's your favorite social network? Kind of like the device question, if you had to have one that you didn't want to give up, which one would it be? And I'll start with Arielle this time.
Okay. Well, favorite. I've been thinking about getting a Pinterest, and that looks really cool. That would probably be my favorite. I don't think I have a favorite right now.
Okay. Will?
I love taking photos, so I really like Facebook for sharing photography. But then again, sharing those late night thoughts on Twitter, and knowing that my friends will be able to appreciate them even when I'm laying in my bed. I think I'd have to go with Twitter.
Okay.
I'll probably go with Facebook. I think there's a wider variety of people that you can talk to on there. And like I've moved around a lot, so it's a good way to stay closer with friends instead of just like reading what they have to say. I can actually talk to them and like hear more about what they would have tweeted. So definitely Facebook.
For me, I will have to add on to her. I actually love Facebook. It's since you're moving to a college, like I'm a senior now, so most colleges have their like own groups where you can talk to your class. So I'm going probably to Iowa State, and they have their own class, so that's a way for you to meet students and also keep in touch with them, and also just keep in touch with your friends at high school and stuff like that. So I would say.
I'd also have to agree with Will about Twitter, like mostly because it's funny, and there's a lot of funny posts, and I'm like in my bed like laughing a lot. So.
For me, it'd have to be Instagram. I love taking pictures and I love sharing them, and I see a head nod over there. And I love seeing what all my friends, are doing with their time, what pictures they're uploading. So
That's terrific. That's terrific. Yeah, the statistics I've seen, Twitter use among teens is 2 or 3 times that of adults. So it's very much a younger medium. Most social networks set a minimum age of 13 to comply with COPPA, federal regulations. Many people under the age of 13 sign up for these things anyway, and they lie about their age. So I'm going to ask the panel, should there be a minimum age for social media? If so, what should it be, and how would you enforce it? Anyone?
I'll try this.
Okay.
I think there should be a minimum age. I signed up for Facebook, I think, a month before my 13th birthday. So I was one of those people who put down the wrong birth date.
Shame on you.
I know. But yeah, I think there's it makes sense to have a minimum age, partially just because when you're older, you're less susceptible to even advertising, but also in addition, strangers who pretend they're someone else and put on facades, and it protects people who might not be ready for the vast amount of information and the potential dangers that a social media and networking website might entail. As for what I think it should be, I think 13 is a good age. It might be a bit young though. Maybe 15 or 16. I mean, if you're trusting kids to drive on the roads, you should probably be trusting them to browse on the internet safely.
I'd have to agree with Will when he says there should be like a limit at least 13, because child development is very important, and it's important for a lot of kids, to get outside and play and have fun and meet people, outside of the internet. In schools, although technology is moving into a new age, I still feel that colossal old way of doing things, and I kind of like my childhood without Facebook. It was a nice addition, but I got to say I appreciate what I've been through. So
I don't know, I might be getting some hate mails after this, but I don't really think we should have a restriction, because the kids will find a way to actually just sign up for it. Like, I can definitely say I wasn't of age when I signed up for Facebook or Twitter. I changed my birthday so many times I don't even remember which one it is. So it's a great thing for like the company to have for liability, just in case something happens. They can say, well, they signed up, they weren't of age during that time, and so on and so forth. But the kids will find a way to sign up for it anyway. So
I think it could kind of be like movie ratings, almost like PG-13, for example, just like a recommendation so that people know what they're going to be seeing on the site, or what kind of population it's geared towards, just to make people more aware of what they're going to see.
Terrific. Do any of you have younger siblings? Are they online yet? No. What advice would you give them about social media?
Don't believe everything you see.
Fair point.
I probably tell them, and I think about this being, anything you put on the internet is there forever. If you put it up, it doesn't matter if you delete it, remove it, it's there, it was there. So, I mean, just think about how you're representing yourself. I think a lot of social media is like, okay, in this moment, I feel like this. da 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 da, you know, like with Twitter, which is great. It can be really funny. But it can also be like, hey, you know, you're applying to college and they're like, oh, this girl thinks that's funny and we don't think that's funny, we don't want to hear. So definitely just remembering that other people don't know you. They know you by what you put up. So if you're like a really nice, fun person and you're on there being really hateful and rude, then you're representing yourself as hateful and rude and not as like a nice, fun person. So I think definitely just keeping in mind, you know, who you are and who you want to portray yourself as.
That's good advice. Anyone want to jump in? All right, okay. So, talking just briefly about secrecy. According to a survey commissioned by McAfee Security, 70% of teenagers hide at least some of their online behavior from their parents. So I don't want to get anyone in trouble here, so I'm going to ask it this way. Is there anyone on the panel or in the audience who feels that his or her parents know absolutely everything about what they do online? Wow. Transparent, open book. Cool.
My mom, I have her on Facebook, so she also knows everything I'm doing.
Okay.
Oh, hi everybody. My name is Siklali. Well, yeah, my parents know everything I'm doing. Well, my mom does. I have her as a friend on Facebook, so she knows about my, my relationship with my boyfriend. She knows about my friends. She knows what I do after school. She knows what I do during school. So my mom's pretty cool about everything I do. So she knows everything.
Okay. But again, you see, a very small number of people raise their hand because, everyone has secrets in their lives somewhere. So, including online. So now I'm going to get to safety, which is the point of this whole meeting here. I'm going to ask the panel one by one to answer this question. Do you think the internet is unsafe? And if so, what are the biggest threats to you personally and your friends? And I'll start with Dursey.
Yes. Well, no. No. No.
Well, that pretty much covers it.
I think the internet is fairly safe. I think, especially social media sites do a fairly good job. I don't know everything about everything. So from my own experience with the internet, I think it's pretty safe and pretty easy to use and fun.
Yeah.
I think it's as safe as you make it. Like, you choose how much information you put out there. And so if you're putting your whole life out, like, on the internet, then it's not safe. But if you, like, monitor, like, keep in check, like, who you're talking to, what you're saying, then it's, can be pretty safe and a good, thing.
I like what she said, but I don't think the internet is unsafe. It's just the people who use it for negative reasons. For example, catfishing, meaning that they portray someone that they're not, and then they kind of there's people doing it for negative reasons. That's pretty much it. So I don't think the internet itself is not unsafe. It's just the people who use them for negative reasons.
I'm gonna it's a little hard to say. It's kind of like, the way I think about it is like, people will be like, well, that's not fair. And they'll be like, well, life is unfair. And I kind of think about like, well, that's not safe. But like, the world is not completely safe. There are dangers in everything that you do. There are dangers, it's all about doing the right thing and just trusting yourself to know that you can do the right thing, and just, not putting yourself in a situation where you're talking to like some 75-year-old guy in his room that you think is like a 12-year-old and it's like not. So I think it's all about the person that you are and how you, again, represent yourself on the internet.
I think Zoe made a good point, and it's about the person who you are, and also it's about, it's, as other panelists have said, it's about what you put out there. So if you play it safe and just if you're safe, then the internet is generally a pretty safe place. It's hard to go wrong, but the internet, I think, just inherently is dangerous in that it's set up to be used properly, but it's also very easy to be used improperly in catfishing, and those type of attacks are very easy, and the nature of the internet almost asks for those types of things.
Yeah, I don't think it's any more or less safe than the real world is, but I think there are a lot of people who think it's safer than the real world, and I think that's what makes it unsafe, because people act or can act so differently, And I think that that's a big differentiation that people need to understand, because you can be hurt a lot more ways than just physical harm. And that's a lot easier to do online.
Okay. Will?
Adding on to what Arielle said, definitely there's often a false sense of anonymity on the internet, and so people think that no one will know, but it's possible to track people down, and people don't always realize that.
Great. So I'm going to flip the question on its head and say, are fears about the internet exaggerated? If so, what gets too much attention, and what doesn't get enough attention?
What gets too much attention will be catfishing, like we said. But I don't know if you heard when the football player from Notre Dame got catfished by this guy or whatever, that it was playing his girlfriend. And that's that whole thing where it's false identity that gets a lot of attention on the media. That's kind of usually the negative side of the internet. So.
I think there's more into unsafe media besides, the whole catfishing, because cyberbullying really plays like a major role in the death of a lot of teens. And it's very preventable, but you have to know how to go about it as a student, as a peer, even as adults, how to handle various issues.
Well, that's one of the things I wanted to talk about. What are you going?
Well, I was going to add on to
Wait for the mic. Wait for the mic so they can hear you.
As I was saying, I would say that like some attention that isn't like that people don't really notice is like on Facebook how not too long ago there was a girl who they put a nude picture of her on the internet. She was one of my friends, and that pretty much like that hurt her because like everybody knew everybody knew how she looked, like nude, and that kind of everybody was bullying her, and like everybody some people were kind of like telling her it's okay, but mostly everybody was they put her on a page because Facebook has pages that says negative things about women. So, it's like the things that need to be more paid attention to are like pages like that hurt people's feelings, that like, put women on blast, put men on blast, that just put them out there. I don't think that's right. I think like more things like that should be like looked at rather than just, identity or cyberbullying, because we don't really look at pages. We just kind of like buttons and laugh about everything we see. So,
right. That's great. Well, I did want to talk about cyberbullying and harassment online, so we can talk about that now if you want. So the 2011 survey by Pew Internet and American Life Project found that 88% of teenagers surveyed had witnessed other people being mean or cruel online. 1 in 5 said they'd been bullied. So I'm going to ask the panel if them or any of their friends have been bullied or harassed like a friend has. So have you had friends been cyberbullied? How did they react to it, or how did you react to it? Don't know anyone?
Haven't, no.
I've seen like Twitter fights or like subtweeting, which is like when you talk about a person, like you don't use their name, like, oh, she's so annoying, and like everyone knows who you're talking about, but you like can't get in trouble because you didn't use their name.
Right.
And so I've seen that happen before, and like, people just talk about it and they're like, oh, did you see what such and so subtweeted about you, or so I guess that's like kind of an issue, like, but it's like almost the same as if like people are gossiping. It's just like online now.
There was this one hashtag that went around a while ago, let's make it awkward. And it was basically just calling out various people who had done various things. And in order to be, you could get a vague understanding of what these people did from the tweets, but it wasn't direct, but it was still making a statement about a person, trying to putting it out there on the web. And I was seeing them from other schools in the county, not from my own, but that meant I was seeing them from people who I didn't know. So it's in that way, I think it's similar to gossiping, but at the same time, you're broadcasting to a much larger audience, and there's even people who have no idea about the people who are involved can still laugh and or retweet and encourage or reply, and just aid in the broadcasting of the cyberbullying, the ridicule.
So I'm curious, we talked a bit about Facebook and Twitter for this, but what about texting? Is texting a way where, is there like a whole dialogue going on of harassment on phones that is invisible to parents? Have you guys experienced it, or you have friends who have experienced that?
Sorry, through texting? You said?
Texting.
Like getting mad at people over text? Is that what you mean?
Spreading malicious rumors.
Well,
Gossip.
at my school, I haven't really been being like associated with that. But at my school, there were ones, but they no longer do that, where they had like group messages and they would just talk about random stuff and about people within that message and stuff like that. And they kind of just stopped that. The whole idea of bullying just doesn't work at my school. So.
Well, if you were harassed, what would you do about it? Or what advice would you give to someone else who's harassed?
I think the biggest thing is just like, you choose how you feel. And yeah, when people are being really mean and saying really mean things to you, it does hurt. And sometimes it's really hard to be like, okay, well that's you, like you think that's a personal problem, you feel that way, that doesn't affect who I am or who I will be. It's really hard, but I think that's the most important thing. When you get upset, when you retaliate, when you get angry, you've given that person the power over you. You're mad, that's what they wanted. They wanted to hurt your feelings. So if you're like, oh, okay, that's cool, you can feel that way. Like you've released yourself from that, I feel. This is how I think about it.
Guys, wait for the mics.
Just quickly, to add on what she was saying, just to be the bigger person, like she was saying. She said it beautifully. I just wanted to compliment her.
Well, basically, the way I look at it, if you stay off the social networks, you wouldn't have to worry about it. Seriously, I have no social networks at all. I don't do any of that.
I saw you raise your hand for Twitter.
No, I have no Twitter. No. The only thing I have is a Vine. And all I do is just watch people, funny Vines and everything. Haven't posted anything. Social networks, it's kind of overrated to me a little bit because
careful now.
I do a lot of bike riding. I do a lot of activities outside. I don't have time to be on the internet posting things that's unnecessary. I mean, Facebook, it is good if you're trying to get in contact with old friends or family or anything like that. But other than that, no. Like it's just, it seems unnecessary to me. So it's just my personal opinion. Sorry, you guys. I know.
I have to say, I completely agree, actually. I didn't get a Facebook until, I guess, 2 years ago now. And until I did, I really didn't see what that is not to say that now I do, but I didn't really see what the draw was. And I think if you keep yourself away from those kind of things, then of course they can't, of course not. They can't not happen to you, but I think you are putting yourself out a little bit to a level of susceptibility when you agree to join these kind of networks. And you have to be careful about what you're putting up and what people are seeing about you, because if you put up things that can hurt you, then people are going to use them against you. So you have to be very careful.
And you were going to say something?
I'd like to go along with what you said. You may not feel, someone's opinion might help you, might make you stronger, but they might not feel as strong as you. Like, you can just let it go. They might need someone to talk to who can encourage them. Like, don't worry about it. But they might not feel as strong as you. Like I said, their opinion, someone else's opinions might, encourage them, might make them feel better, and it can even hurt them. And what people say about you, if all you guys said something about me and just made me laugh, it'll make me feel terrible. But if I have someone encouraging me to make me feel better, so don't worry about it, and that's not you as a person, then it will make me feel better. But everyone is not as strong as you. Everyone doesn't have the same, emotions. Everyone is different.
Yeah, to kind of piggyback on what Gregory and Zoe were saying, that is a major thing, talking about it, because I'm that person, for a lot of my friends, people come to me and talk to me like, Dursey, some guy did this and this. And I'm like, well, what are you going to do about it? What do you plan to do about it? Do you plan on being a bigger person, or do you plan on being the worst person and stooping to his level? There's various things that you can do in terms of that. And talking, for me, has been the most effective to even the people, my peers that I counsel.
I'd like to add to what Dursey was saying. Sometimes you can't always talk to people. Like, some people are scared to talk. Like me personally, I kind of deal with it internally. I don't think everybody's like that. But either you can like talk to your friends, or you can like write down in a journal or something like that. Just, and what Zoe was saying, don't let it get to you. Because if it gets to you, you give the person power over you. You give them that power, and they can keep going, and it's like a cycle. And then sometimes people who are being victimized turn into like bullies themselves to other people just to get out how they're feeling.
Right.
So it's a cycle, and we should end it.
I'd like to add on to that. Basically, okay, cyberbullying is, yes, it's terrible. And I feel bad for the people that do get bullied. But in reality, when it comes to bullying in reality, I just ignore it. One time when I was younger, this guy tried to bully me. Tried. And I said tried because I ignored him.
Huh?
Because I looked at him like, seriously? Like, are you really trying to do this? Like, what do you have better else to do with your life? You could be over there in your books instead, but instead you want to talk about me. I said, I'm going to be something one day. What about you? Like, seriously.
Very nice.
I like that. I like that.
So just ignore it. Even if someone was posting random tweets about you, or have that Twitter thing go, but posting random tweets about you, you don't have an account at all. You hear people talking rumors about you. Ignore that.
So you feel comfortable if other people are talking about you online and you aren't participating to defend yourself?
No, I'm just saying, like, if anybody's talking about you, period, don't let them distract you from where you're supposed to be going in life. Because that's what you're doing. You're letting them distract you. You're letting them get to you. Right, exactly. And you have to become a stronger individual than that. Some people can't, but you can't say that you can't. Actually, you have to. One way or another, you have to. And then if you don't, you're just going to be stuck in that position all your life. You're going to be getting bullied all your life.
Right. Good point.
Well, I'm gonna have to disagree with you, because I understand that you might be that strong person, but not everybody feels that way. Because it's not easy just knowing everybody's talking about you and what you're just like ignoring, and you can't do that. Like, obviously you want to defend yourself, and you're scared. You're maybe you're mad. You want to fight. I don't know, something, but like it's kind of hard just to ignore it and just be like, you know what, I'm just not gonna do nothing. Because it's always going to, like, stop you from what you're doing, because you're going to, like, end up being like, oh, did you hear about this? Did you hear that they're talking about you like this? And you're gonna react to it. Because if you keep ignoring it, you're going to keep letting them do it and do it and do it, because you're not putting a stop to it. As long as, you have to, acknowledge that something like that's happening to you and, like, get some type of help, stop the bully by doing something, but you just can't ignore it, because if you ignore it, it just keeps happening.
It's true. I agree. Okay. This is very true. But the thing about that is, you could get some help. You could actually speak up and stop the bullying yourself. But if you do speak up, it can get worse. Trying to talk about the person back or anything. Trying to talk behind the person back. Either way it goes, it's like it's going to be a continued cycle of it if you do. Because you may slip up and say the wrong thing and not say the right thing. By you ignoring it and being the bigger person, you can actually, it's going to eventually blow off. They're going to move to another person and be like, oh, well, this person, they don't even care about it no more. So let me just go ahead. Hey, you right there. It's going to eventually move on to the next person. So to me, I still feel that ignoring it is being the bigger person. But speaking upon it, but if you say the right thing and do the right thing about it, it can also blow over. So, yeah.
I have a follow-up for you guys. We're only hearing about two parties here, the bully and the person being victimized, right? But what we hear in the research and, some of the good messaging is there's this other party called the bystander, right? So I'd love to ask you guys about that. More and more people are saying that bystanders need to stand up because they have major power to help situations. So I wonder if you guys have been bystanders, know of bystanders, and are sort of aware of this idea that people can really help by either privately just listening and helping the person being victimized, or actually publicly standing up? I'd love to get your thoughts on that.
I don't think the problem with bystander. Sorry, the problem with bystander. They feel like if they stand up during the bullying, that they'll then be a victim of bullying from that person because you stood up, and then if everybody else kind of stayed back and it's just you and you're by yourself trying to help that person, then they feel like they're going to be a victim as well. So,
What about privately?
probably how?
Yeah.
Counseling?
Oh, Mike.
Bystander, meaning like you see the
Like just
bullying
be there
on-
for
yeah.
somebody, not necessarily publicly standing up, but being a listener or reaching out quietly online, or I'm hearing some of you say that you do that for people. So I'm wondering if you notice that your peers do, if you could speak to that maybe.
I think that the bystander problem comes from the fact that, especially with cyberbullying, there's this feeling of anonymity, and no one's going to know you're a bystander. So there's not even the pressure of physically seeing the person being bullied anymore. There's nobody knows that you're partaking in just the enjoying the bullying even. And when people do try to stand up to that cyberbullying, there's this social pressure that comes from that anonymous majority of bystanders that it's just it forces it puts the position of the bystander into they're no longer a bystander. They are now a target, a victim, for not only the bully, but all the other bystanders who are enjoying it, to anonymously now. See, the word I'm thinking of is hate on. Hate on not only the victim, but the bystander who stood up as well. Also, I wanted to say to your points that it took me 4 years to get comfortable with what I was hearing about things I've heard about myself, and that also took me to some extent actively changing how I acted in public, and it was definitely for the better with me changing myself, but it definitely took me a long time to get to that point where I can just shrug it off and ignore it and it'll go away. And there have definitely been times when I've wanted to react, and I still react sometimes. I still freak out if I hear the occasional wrong thing, but it's not always that easy, and they're definitely until a person gets to that point of not caring, they need those private listeners to support them, because I know it took looking up to having good role models to look up to, along with a great group of friends, to really get me comfortable with who I was and help me be a better person.
Like the question you mentioned about the bystanders. Well, I've been a bystander before, and there was a story when I was on the bus trying to head to the train back in Chicago. There was this woman who couldn't she couldn't speak, and this one African American male was bothering her, like hitting her book bag. And he kept laughing at her, and nobody would do anything, nobody would say anything, and she was mad and she wanted to hit him. And I got up and I told him, you need to stop. Like, this woman cannot speak, she cannot defend herself, can you stop already? And he was just like, he felt like kind of stupid, and he just kind of like stood back, and he's like, well, she started. And I was like, no, you need to stop, because this woman can't even speak. I was like, and you're acting like, you're not acting like how you're supposed to act. And so I don't really like that. And at school, I mean, I've always been kind of been one of like the tough girls at school. So like when I see bullying, and like I like the person, I do stop it. Like I'd be like, no, like you're not gonna do that in my face, because I don't like it. So yeah, I pretty much like everybody that I have a liking to. I do stop the bullying right there, because it's not right. So
it's terrific. Keep going.
Same here. It's just I hate seeing bullying. You cannot bully anyone around me. I will stand up. I will speak upon that. And people know I will. And it's the fact that many people try to bully people. If you do it in front of me, I will speak down on you. I will. I will speak down on the bully. Because you don't know what they're going through in their life. They could be going through anything. You don't know what position they're in or anything. So what, that gives you the right to talk down on them, talk about them behind their back, spread rumors, unnecessary rumors about this person that isn't real. Even if it was true, doesn't mean you're supposed to talk about it. Seriously. And I really dislike that. I dislike bullying a lot. And I try to prevent it as much as I can. Even on the PSN, if you ever had a PlayStation Network, it was this guy, he lived 2 cities away from me. And he was getting bullied in school. Didn't even know the guy. We became friends online and everything like that. And I was helping him through online, telling him the things he should do so he can prevent this. And as time went on, it actually worked. It worked, and the bullying stopped. I didn't tell him to do anything bad, beat the guy down or anything like that. No, I gave him the right choices. But yeah, bullying is not the thing that I really dislike. I mean, I really dislike it.
In my opinion, it really depends on like the environment in terms of the bystander. Because I grew up, on a very strong Christian values, and so that really helped me through a lot of things. And like I said, like you said, I really don't like bullying. I'm a very nice person. Anybody who knows you will tell you I'll smile at you, I'll greet you cordially, I'll make conversation with you, I'll be happy with you. But the moment you start doing something like bullying, that's something I do not tolerate. That's something I've never tolerated personally. And if anyone, whether I know you or not, that won't happen in my presence. That just will not happen.
Hi, I'm curious about this discussion of bullying online. If a lot of these anonymous apps that have emerged recently, like Whisper, Secret, Kick, Ask.fm, how that affects bullying and the bystander problem that you guys are talking about? Is it easier? Like Arielle said something quite smart earlier about how what you do online is permanent and come back to hurt you, but on these anonymous apps, it's harder to trace what people do. So I wonder what you think about these anonymous apps and if you use them and if they're a problem.
I kind of feel like I'll just address a little bit. With stuff like Ask.fm, I've actually seen really nasty comments on there. And I feel like, hey, not only are you a bully, but you're an anonymous bully. So you're not even owning up to what you said. To me, that's just like, I can't even understand that. Like, you have something to say that's rude and mean and hurtful, and you're not even going to own the fact that you said it. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. And I just feel like the reason that you shouldn't reply to comments like that is, like, the second you feel like you have to defend yourself, like this person saying these mean things, it's like you're justifying their insult. You know what I mean? You're giving them, oh, okay, this makes sense to that person. They're bringing in internally like what I'm saying. You know what I mean? And I feel like as soon as you do that, again, as we talked like earlier, you've given them that power. And it's like, if it's anonymous, like the first thing I would do is ignore it. Like, honestly, first of all, you don't know that person, which is, good for you, actually, I feel like. And, they don't matter because, and they're not owning up to what they're saying. And it's not nice. So why even bother? Like, why would you even, like, give that a second glance and be like, oh, this person who I don't know is saying really mean things to me? That probably has nothing to do with you and everything to do with the insecurities in that person. So I would just ignore it.
I think adding on to that, I mean, especially with Ask.fm's, that's the one I'm most familiar with. I've seen a lot of mean stuff, but I've seen it also on the same level. It provides an anonymous platform. It provides a platform for people to stand up for themselves or to publicly ignore something. So you were saying not even post the question. But I would almost go for the approach of just posting like, cool, glad you think that, because I mean then they get then not only then there's not even the chance of them thinking you you didn't like their comment. It's putting, regardless of whether it got to you, it's putting on the face of it's William, right? Yeah. Like William was saying, of just not caring at all, and it's putting on, more often than not, stopping bullying isn't about. It's about putting on almost even if it's not at all how you feel or how you act normally, of not caring, and completely disregarding, and but also on Ask FM, that anonymous, it's unfortunately less common than the bullying, that's the anonymous bullying, but there's also anonymous complimenting going on, to some extent, and so and though for every school confessions page I see on Facebook or Twitter where people post bad things about the school, about schools or other people, I see one, if not more, compliments page, random compliments, or in response to confessions pages, often compliments pages pop up. So I think the people are starting to move, now that cyberbullying is being tackled more readily. People are starting to move towards countering cyberbullying with cyber complimenting and cyber positivity almost.
I'd like to add on to that because I feel like we're focusing a lot on like all the negative parts of like the internet, when like in reality I feel like there's almost more positives than negatives to it, because you can, you know, have compliments pages, or like connect with, you know, like classmates, and like, I don't know, like, you know, there's all these like good ways to communicate and like explore different, you know, like ideas and stuff, and so it's not all negative. And I think that like that's one of the things that gets amplified a lot, is that the internet is all unsafe and bad, when in reality I feel like it is really helpful to a lot of people, and you know, you just have to work around all the like, you know, negative parts of it.
I've never used any of the, or really heard of the Ask or the Whisper or the Secret. Sorry, but it seems very strange to me. Why would you? Because social networking to me is for communicating with other people. So why would you want to be anonymous? Because how can anonymous complimenting have any more weight or even an effect on a person as anonymous bullying? Like that doesn't make sense to me.
I can tell you exactly how. Once again, PSN. This is probably worse than social networking. If you ever play Call of Duty, anybody, you know, you join random lobbies with people, and they would talk down on you badly because of this video gaming and everything like that. But that is another form of cyberbullying. And the thing about it is, they hide behind the screen. It's anonymous because they have their own PSN name. It's not their real name or anything like that. It's anonymous, and they hide. They feel that they have the power to hide their face, so they can say anything that they want. You would never know who they are, so they take advantage of that. It didn't talk down on anybody because, hey, this is just my PSN name. This is my anonymous name. In real life, hey, you would never know me, so you can never do anything about it.
So it sounds to me like that's the problem, that being anonymous online is a really big problem.
Yes.
It's not good. Like, because I guess I can kind of understand, because with my Facebook account, obviously it's my real name. So I think I would be more inclined to be careful on Facebook than on an anonymous, than on that kind of site, because, yeah.
I mean, at the same time, I know I'm on the internet, even when I'm using my real name, but more so when I'm anonymous. I'm willing to say more kind things than I probably would in person, because I mean, in person, it's almost like I don't know. There's this just almost embarrassment that accompanies just walking up to someone and complimenting them, or it can be seen as creepy or weird or just strange. But when you do it anonymously on the internet, that social pressure is gone. Same with bullying. And so there's no check. And even if that person doesn't share it with anyone, they've still gotten that. And to think that someone took that time, someone who they may or may not know took that time and didn't want to be associated with that compliment, didn't want not attaching a name for a compliment can also mean you're not getting the social credit for giving them that compliment. It's more likely to be a genuine compliment because the anonymity prevents the person giving the compliment from getting anything out of it.
That's right.
Just not to bash on the anonymous apps that we use now. It's actually a plus for some kids. For like, let's say there's a lot of shy guys that might want to talk to, let's say, a female that they like or so. So that's a way for them to contact them without really like giving too much information or like giving them like their name and stuff like that. But so the anonymous apps have their plus and minuses. So just like anything in this world.
That's great. You guys actually stumbled onto the next topic I was going to bring up.
Can I just make one comment?
Yes.
Yeah, one of the things about anonymity, there's a lot of things on the internet that people tend to go down on, but in terms of, oh, this is awful, but there's always something to consider beyond that. Anonymity is very important to social activists and very repressive regimes, because if they did disclose who they were, they could be in very serious trouble. Yeah. So there is a role for anonymity, but there's also a big role for accountability. I think it's very interesting how you guys are sort of addressing that we need to look at both sides of that.
I think Aiden in the back has a question or comment.
I wanted to share a quote that I actually read on Tumblr that said something along the lines, I'm going to have to paraphrase, but something along the lines of anonymous hate is so detrimental because instead of hearing it in the other person's voice, we hear it in our own. And I thought that was really impactful because it's true. I mean, we are the ability to say, oh, that's just that person who we can see and identify. It's their issue. It's more difficult because when we're reading that, because we don't have a face or a personality to attach it to, we hear it in our own voice and we hear it in our own head. So I thought that was an interesting perspective on all that.
That's terrific. This is a great discussion about cyberbullying. This is fantastic. You're making my life a lot easier up here. One word I didn't hear very much in that discussion was parents. I didn't hear adults. And I'm curious if that's something that comes to mind if you witness harassment or you're a victim of harassment. Do you think about going to an adult? Do you think about going to a teacher or a parent or some other person and reporting it? Is that one of the options?
I think a vulnerability of teens is we don't want to be associated or dependent on our parents, and so then that makes bullying our problem, and it's our problem to solve. And I know when I have a problem with a teacher, I often won't tell my parents about it because I know my dad, the first thing he wants to do is go try to deal with it and get it resolved as quick as possible. I know I want to try to deal with it first. And it's the same way with bullying, is that as they're growing up and as kids and teens are growing up and they want to be more independent on their own, they often apply that to situations where that may not be the best thing for them, and so they want to take care of it on their own, but often they don't know how to take care of it well, so it doesn't So nothing ends up happening, or it doesn't work out, or it only gets worse. And then they never get to that point where they feel like reaching out to parents or adults.
But also, there's a negative with that. Like when you talk to an adult, it seems there's this phrase. It's like snitches get stitches in a sense. Where if you talk to an adult, it will just get bigger and it cause more trouble than it actually is. So that whole thing where they don't like to talk to their parents just because of that. Because their parents, like he said, they want to act on it. They want to fight the person. They want to call their parents and stuff like that. So it's just, they feel like it'll just add on to the fight. That's pretty much it.
Also, like with the sense of like, you know, becoming an adult, like, if I can't deal with it, my parents aren't going to be able to deal with it, you know? So you're trying to be, you know, mature and like handle things your own way. Like,
Okay. You guys want to say?
They words.
It's like one brain.
Well, adding to David, well, my sister used to be bullied back in 8th grade, and when my mom found out about it, like, it made everything worse. My mom went to school trying to find out who that girl is, trying to talk to the principal, trying to talk to her parent. I was like, Mom, you're making this even to a bigger problem. Like, she just made my sister look like a sissy, and they bullied her even more. So it's like, Mom, just stay out of it. And like, I actually like, but I also felt like a parent though, because I was like, when I found out about it, I was just like there. Like, I was like, nobody's gonna touch my sister, like, you know? So like, I was defending my sister no matter what. So, I mean, it finally stopped, but, you know, but it did take some time for it to stop.
I agree with what Ali said, but when you mentioned, what was it? Oh, I'm so sorry. Holly said, I'm gonna get it right, Lolly. I agree with what Lolly said, but when you mentioned the whole parents thing, it kind of brought back to me relationship, the type of relationship you have with them. If you're comfortable enough to talk to a parent, because me personally, I feel, I hope my mom's not listening, I feel more comfortable speaking to my peers, you know, my friends, you know, who I tell everything to. I feel more comfortable, you know, talking to them about my problems as they do to me. So that's just my view on it.
Okay. And right there. Oh, sorry.
Oh, all right, sorry, real quick. I also feel like in the real world, when you have your parents there, you know, there's like, they're big and tall and strong and they can beat up the other kid or whatever. But online, there's none of that size difference. Like, there's no way for your parents to be bigger than the bully online. And that's kind of scary in a way. I think scary is the right word. And they can also go after your parents in that. I mean, obviously, they could bully your parents, but they could bully you about your parents, and that hurts even more than being bullied about yourself.
I'm hearing a lot of kind of uniformity in terms of what you think about kind of in the moment adult intervention. But I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit about your experiences and opinions about kind of proactive anti-bullying programs that parents and schools can do kind of to front load students in terms of, you know, strategies to defend themselves, how to be a productive bystander in a situation, whether you think those programs can ever be effective, or whether you think that it's something that adults do to kind of make ourselves feel like we're doing something to help students and kids that we care about. And, you know, whether you had personal experience in your schools with those kind of programs, if you think that they're helpful, what could be done to make them better.
I want to say, I mean, I remember getting talks about bullying, and it happened once a year, and it was that bullying day or that bullying afternoon, and that didn't do squat. I mean, bullying has been happening for years, and those programs, I mean, the way you hit right on the point, it's done to often done to look like they're doing something proactive. I mean, if anything, the programs need to be redesigned because students aren't going to bring it up to adults just naturally for the reasons I mentioned before. And it's not just parents, it's adults in general. So either adults have to be actively reaching out on a personal level, and also students have to be reaching out to each other on a personal level. Because, I mean, if the kids are trusting each other with their secrets and their true feelings, I mean, that's the #1 place where you're really going to help get at some of not only the victims' issues with bullying, but the actual the bullies, that personal connection. I mean, I know there was a guy my freshman year. We both didn't like each other, I thought he was just a generally mean-spirited guy. He thought I was completely and totally annoying. And to an extent, we were both right. But it wasn't until we sat together with 2 other friends in physics class last year, and within 2 weeks, we were really good friends, and now he's one of my best friends. But we were set up to be mean to each other because we had 0 personal connection. We just based it on what we heard about the other person, what we observed from a distance. There was little to no personal connection. So encouraging that among students and getting friends to encourage it, people who are friends of both parties, for instance, it's more useful in some cases than others. But that encouragement of a general atmosphere of positivity, rather than specifically anti-negative, more of a pro-positive approach.
So we are pretty much out of time. I know people want to have other things they want to say. But I wanted to give... Okay, a few more minutes, then there's a question there, and then right there. So there first.
Yeah, question for the youth panel. My name is Gary. I'm from West Virginia. I'm wondering if, in keeping with this theme of accountability and reporting, have any of you ever filed an abuse report? And if so, why? And if not, why?
Various social networks have the ability to report another user. Twitter does, Facebook does.
I've never encountered that situation personally, but I am glad that social media has that option available to report abuses, because that, in my opinion, that's a very life-changing thing. You know, especially in terms of cyberbullying, you can go on and you can hear all these voices in your head. So not only are you fighting your own demons, you're fighting theirs too. And so with that ability, you know, you can block users and stuff, and I think that is a very helpful thing in terms of, you know, this entire discussion.
I've reported a post before. Like my friend had posted a video on YouTube of her singing, and then this guy found it and posted on his friend's wall and was like, ha ha ha, she's so bad or something. And I thought that just was cruel and mean. Why would you go out of your way to do that? So I reported it, and I think it got taken down. But I don't know, it's all about maturity. If you're gonna, stand up for it or whatever.
Kind of going off what Hannah was saying. Sometimes the bullies are thinking they're being funny, but they don't always know they're bullying somebody. Like if they post something and then make fun of somebody, oh, they're just making fun of them. They think they're still cool, but the other person is actually in pain. But then you hit the abuse button, and then if they're notified by that, they're like, oh, I'm bullying somebody. Maybe I should back off. Maybe I should do something else instead, so they don't feel so bad anymore.
There you go. So, you want
Okay. Now, this is also a form of bullying that came from cyberbullying, apparently, tweets and everything like that. When I was in the 7th grade, now I want to ask you guys, everybody, how would you approach this? One day I was in my science class doing a test, and it was this guy. Never knew him, never talked to him, don't know nothing about me or anything. He came in the classroom and walked up to me and said, I heard on Twitter that you have been saying I have a small head and I want to fight you. That's not the exact words he used, but you know how that go. And I looked at him and I said, are you serious right now? So he grabbed me, he said, yes, I'm really serious. I was like, I didn't know how to handle that. My teacher, of course the teacher and the teachers, grabbed him and everything like that. But in that time, I didn't know what to do. Mm-hmm. Of course, as time went over, of course I ignored it. But still, I always wonder, what was it that I could really do about that? Because it's been rumors going around school or on the internet that I said something about him, but I never did. So how exactly could you handle that? If the guy's someone really fighting you, is outside waiting on the school, oh yeah, we still want to fight. The school not gonna stop me. I'm going to find out where you live. I know something must have been wrong with him. Mm-hmm. Apparently he felt bad about himself some kind of way, and by somebody finding out how he felt, they put it on somebody else, so he could take his anger out on them.
By that point, you can just notify the administrator, because you didn't say anything, so there's no sort of snitch involved at that
Well,
point.
after
You can
school.
just, excuse me?
After school.
Right, there's always an administrator in school building. You can just notify one of them and tell them, like, to be exact, like, I don't even have an account. I don't know where he got this
You're
from.
saying
So on.
outside of school.
Outside of school. Oh,
Yeah.
I thought you meant like when school was over.
Yeah, like, right, so.
That seems like something wrong with him.
Thank you, right. That's what's basically wrong with most bullies. Like, they feel it's something deep inside them that.
Think about like the.
Oh, wait for a mic.
Oh my God.
You think about like the whole bully situation. Like for me, I'm like, it takes so much effort to be a bully, like to make a burn page or like I'm gonna sneak tweet this dude, like, or I'm gonna come up and fight you. That just seems like so much effort for what one might fear or desire. That's how I kind of look at bullying. Like somebody that's like constantly like I had a couple students we were working, Ann and I were actually working with the Born This Way Foundation, and I was the adult, you know, in the situation working with young people who are getting bullied for a lot of things, from their sexual orientation to the way they dress, and just the fact that, you know, somebody's like, you gay, you gay, you gay, every day. That's like, some of you either fearing or some of you desiring. It's like, so I think what we have to do as both adults and young people is start to really critically think and analyze, you know, who these people are. And when it comes to that piece, really, you know, long as you know yourself and you're strong about yourself, and for your piece, like, you know, because to me, like the internet sometimes, you know, and we've talked about this, like the whole shielding piece, like, it's very comparable to like road rage, right? So people are mad tough in their car. Get out your car then. You know, I'm sorry. You know, it's the same thing online. It's like you can be tough behind these machines. You can be gangster behind these machines, but that's not in essence who you are, right? Or who the other person is. And I think if we start to critically think as a society and not just react to these folks, then we can start to, you know, push the conversation a little bit forward.
Terrific.
Okay, and one more thing, I know we're short for time.
Okay.
Okay. Now, another thing that I really dislike is
Use the
when...
mic. Use the mic.
Oh, can you hear me?
That's
cool.
better.
Okay. One thing I really dislike out of everything is when a bully bullies someone and that person tries to change themselves and be like, or go to the bully side and then bully upon someone else so they can just get everything off of them. I hate that. I really dislike that. Like, why would you change yourself and go with the person that's bullying you to bully someone else? Like, it's kind of, it's bad.
Right.
It's another word I can use for that, but I don't want to talk down people or anything like that. But it's like, it's really bad because it make you look bad, and now you're basically a bully yourself. You're trying to protect yourself by going to the bad guy, which is not good.
It's not good.
To comment on that, you know, I heard a quote by Lady Gaga. She said, "Is there really any difference between the bully and the victim?" How do you know, kind of feel about that?
Well, let's see. Wow, that's a good one. There is a difference, but the difference can be changed through how the person feel about it. The bully is someone that, oh, you know what? I kind of get it now. Okay. Yeah. Somewhere along the line, apparently the bully had to be a victim.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So, right, and deep inside, and then that way they change so they can bully others, and no attention will be towards them. So it's kind of,
Yeah, so we spent a lot of time talking about bullying, and that's appropriate because it is an issue for some folks in the country here. But I think it bears repeating, and I know it was said before about the prevalence of bullying, that bullying, although it's a problem, is not a prevalent situation in the sense that most kids don't bully. And the reason why I think it's important to remind people about that is because that's the norm. The norm is for kids to actually treat each other very nicely. And what research has shown in the scientific community and the public health community around smoking and other either dangerous or socially inappropriate habits is that when people understand that their peers behave a certain way, they're more likely to behave a certain way. So I think it's worth repeating that bullying is not common, it's not norm. The norm is positive behavior. So even though it's appropriate on Safer Internet Day that we talk about bullying, it's also important that we remind everybody that most kids are really like the kids in this panel. Great, they're focused, they compliment, they treat each other nicely, and that's really what American, and for that matter, the world young people are like today. Frankly, having grown up a long time ago, I think you've got a better generation than we did, and I had a great generation. We're the ones that did a lot of great things, but you guys are an even better generation, and I frankly am very proud that we are around you, and I'm very optimistic that you guys are going to be leading us, certainly in my old age.
Whenever that happens. I know we've run over. I wanted to let the panelists have the last word. So I was hoping to go around the panel quickly. You're in Washington, D.C. You're in front of the decision makers of the country. What do you want them to know? What do you want them to take away from this panel? And I'll start with Dursey.
Come back to me.
Okay. Does anyone want to just volunteer?
Let's start with Arielle.
I was kind of relying on my end here. Yeah, I think, sorry, do you want to go, Will?
I'll try. I mean, I guess, I guess that it generally just to the public. I mean, the entire society has a tendency to focus on negative media, and it's human. It's human nature to focus on that negative. It's always seeing the news because that's what catches people's attention, which just encourages it more. But if we stop focusing on the negative, stop encouraging infamy and that negativity, and instead focus on promoting that positive, not just anti-bullying, but positivity in both the realm of the internet and in the general world. That's how we're gonna start tackling the issue of cyberbullying and bullying in general.
That's great. Great. Anyone else? Anything else?
I guess I'll go next. That's a huge question to ask somebody. It's like asking, like, what does life mean to you? Like, you know, there's
That's
like
my next
huge.
question.
I knew that was
What
coming.
is time? Why are we here?
Yeah, exactly. So like, it's always hard for that, but I think it's pretty simple. You know, life is what you make it. It really, truly is. I really believe that, and I think that the person you are, the person that you choose to be, is huge. And I think sometimes it takes a long time to figure out who that is. But I think once you know, usually you're pretty good for life. You just, you know, you go along that. You gotta trust yourself, and you gotta trust the people that you trust. You know.
For me, it would be something I would tell a policymaker. Will be the internet is not unsafe. It's just the people who use it for negative reasons, and also that just to be conscious of passing bills and like to protect us doesn't mean to just censor the whole internet just for people in general. So.
Kind of go off what David said, like driving in and of itself isn't necessarily unsafe. The people on the roads who do wrong things, like that's what makes it unsafe. It's kind of like the internet, like, you know, finding all these like great opportunities on the internet is great, but it's like the few people that like make it an issue, like, you know, do, you know, bad things that, you know, kind of tarnish the whole like image of it.
Yeah, just to pretty much reiterate what Hannah and David, and I'm sorry, I forgot your name, and Zoe pretty much said, you know, to censor the internet for like reasons such as cyberbullying, like to constrict it like gravely, it's not really, you know, making the internet, you know, what it should be. And that's supposed to be like a fun, sometimes entertainment, sometimes used for business, but a productive way for people to, you know, get to know each other.
Right, and I have my end spot. All right, so an earlier comment or question was about programs that are for reporting bullying. And I feel like those kind of programs would be better if or not better, but if there was also a way to report not bullying, like random acts of kindness. I know it's becoming really popular. But I think that focusing on the negativity makes us feel very negative, and that if we try to think more about what positive things people are doing, and if we highlight the kindness that is going around, then that would be a way to counteract some of it at least.
That's terrific. Hey, these guys have been terrific. You guys have also been terrific. Everyone, please give them a round of applause.